In 1960, G.D. Searle Company attempts to license lower doses of Inovid to 2.5 to 5 milligram doses. In the winter of 1960, sales are going up. Searle is doing $37 million in annual sales of the pill for menstrual disorders. They then push for FDA approval for the pill. On May 11th, Searle receives FDA approval to sell the Inovid as a birth control. Searle is the first and only pharmaceutical company to sell oral contraceptives. The FDA approves lower doses at 2.5 to 5 milligrams. 13 major drug companies, 9 of them American, work to develop new forms of the pill.
On December of 1961, it was a crime to use birth control in Connecticut. By 1962, 1.2 million American women were on the pill. On September 1st, side effects began to arise. These included heart attacks, 132 blood clots, and 11 deaths.
In 1963, John Rock was the spokesperson for the pill. He was trying to get the Catholic churches to accept the pill. By this time, 2.3 million American women were using the pill. In 1964, Lyndon B. Johnson pushes legislation for the support of the birth control for the poor. The pill also becomes more popular by being the reversible birth control pill. 8 states prevent the sale of birth control. Massachusetts and Connecticut prevent the dissemination of information about the birth control pill. In 1965, the first court case, Gerzoll v. Connecticut, takes place. This prohibits the seize of birth control as a violation of a couple's right to privacy. 5 years later, Searle is still on top with $89 million worth in sales of the Inovid.
In 1966, the FDA looks into side effects of the pill, but find no evidence to start a lawsuit. In 1967, the sales of birth control rise to 12.5 million people. In Massachusetts, they changed the law and now married women could purchase the pill. However, unmarried women were still prohibited. In Pittsburgh, Planned Parenthood is selling more birth control to the African Americans to prevent the race from growing. This is when the NAACP said it was an instrument of racial genocide.
In 1968, the sales hit the 150 million mark. Now women can choose from 7 different types of birth control. The pill becomes mainstream in a film called Prudence and the Pill, which changes the view of the pill to become a pop culture icon. However, in 1969, Barbara Seaman writes a book called The Doctor's Case Against the Pill, which brings negative national attention by announcing the dangers of the pill.
In 1970, Catholic Americans, despite the church doctrine, make their own decisions regarding birth control. 2/3 of them are using contraceptives, and 28% of them are on the pill. Between January and March of 1970, due to the negativity conveyed by Seaman's book, U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson convenes Senate hearings on the safety of the pill.
In June of 1970, the FDA orders information inserts to be placed inside the oral contraceptive packets, detailing possible side effects from the pill. This was reached by the actions of the feminist and women's health movement. In 1970, due to Nelson's hearings, sales of the birth control pills dropped by 20%, but yet it still remained America's #1 method of choice.
March 23rd of 1972, the U.S. Supreme Court case Eisenstadt v. Baird declared that a state cannot interfere with distribution of birth control to any woman. This case was directed to the Massachusetts law that banned the sale of contraceptives to unmarried women. In March 2013, Texas legislature has cut funding for family planning and refused $30 million a year for federal Medicaid money. They did this to take out Planned Parenthood out of the state's women's health program. This affected low-income women, women who couldn't get approved for insurance, or women who couldn't find a clinic. Over 200,000 women lost access to contraceptives, cancer screenings, and basic preventative care. This shows that even today, accessing birth control is still a complicated process.